I've been drinking beer all day and I'm really drunk. Not really. Old Jamaica ginger beer, made with fiery Jamaican roots ginger. I love me some ginger beer. And I love me some Watchmen as well. I do like the old Watchmen comic book. It's very much a comic book of its times, though, of the Cold War period, with all the anxieties which I lived through. I just about remember it. Thinking that we might be living on the eve of destruction. That those Ruskies might nuke us. Right. So it's a rare comic book in that it talks about anxieties of the time and played it out in a fictional setting. That doesn't happen in this comic book, by the way. But it's still a good book. It's still an enjoyable book. Yeah, Rorschach got the lenticular Rorschach cover. Does it work? Does it work? You see it? I think it works better in the real world. The internet's not real. I'm not real. But yeah, I had to get the Rorschach version down, the Rorschach cover. Doomsday Clock, then. It's a prequel. No, it's not. Before Watchmen, I've got the poster on my door, I think. Before Watchmen was the prequel, and it wasn't very good, really. It was a bit boring, and there's about 1 million comic books, and no one talks about them anymore. But this one is worth something. Doomsday Clock, then, is a sequel to Watchmen. First off, it's weird, right? Because although it's set in 1992, a lot of the references at the beginning of the book are to stuff that's happening today. So if you're, from my political spectrum, reading the first, let me see, 1, 2, 3, about 3 or 4 pages with its references to the undeplorables and tolerances of one-way street, totalitarians and all that sort of stuff, can be quite annoying. Because you think, oh God, it's another lefty having a go at the evil autocratic Donald Trump, as he does nothing really. What has Donald Trump done to clamp down on the rights of anybody in America? He wants a smaller government. Smaller governments don't clamp down on your rights. Get that through your thick head, leftists. But anyway, the first 3 pages of the book then can be a little bit annoying, but you have to remember that this is a sequel to or a continuation of the original story. And I don't know why Geoff Johns included the references to modern day America. Maybe so he could make the readers feel like there's some sort of connection to what's happening in the world around them and this book, but there really isn't. So that's probably a mistake. He shouldn't have done that. He should have just kept it in the time period that it's set, which is post Cold War period, 1992, and in the actual narrative continuation of the story, in that Ozymandias had just perpetrated a great alien hoax, hadn't he? He'd set a fake alien invasion on Manhattan, and it brought all the world's governments together to combat the fear of an alien invasion. So he produced what was pretty much a new world order at the end of the original Watchmen, right, in doing this fake alien invasion. And this book then continues that story with the revelation in a newspaper that the alien invasion was fake, and that's all the people that died. I think there's quite a lot of people died during the event. Millions of people, I'm not sure. A lot of people anyway died. Anyway, so the newspaper reveals that it was all a great lie. So there was no alien invasion, and all the people that died died because of this Adrian Fights guy, the Ozymandias guy, who's now gone into hiding, and the people are getting very angry in the streets, and the Russians are coming to invade. There we go. And there's a reference to the end of the European Union as well, which is pretty annoying to me. But yeah, because it is actually collapsing, and it's nothing to do with what goes on in this book. The real reason why the European Union is collapsing in the real world is because the individual governments don't represent the people in their own individual countries anymore. They're all about opening the borders and let's help the corporations, and that's why they always push multiculturalism, because it's not about protecting the people or individual countries. It's about blending everybody together, and it's not working because they're inviting how can I say it? They're inviting Islamic people basically into the West, and there's lots of ghettos springing up, and horrible things are happening, which a bit predictable really. Some people say it's deliberate. I think it's just incompetence. Most of what politicians do is incompetent. And when you see them talking about issues off the cuff, they come across as pretty ignorant people rather than Machiavellian people. Anyway, back to the comic book. So the lie has been exposed. Everyone's upset. The Russians are invading, and Rorschach's back. But it's not the old Rorschach. It's a new Rorschach. We don't know who he is yet. It doesn't seem quite as tough as the old one. And we have a strong female protagonist, which is mandatory in all contemporary comic books, of course, isn't it? So a young female here who's hasn't got any feminine qualities at all. She's pretty, tough and masculine. Yeah, it's just, yeah, you get that. You don't get any traditionally feminine characters in comic books in 2017. It's not a thing that liberal writers do. Strange that. It's almost like there's a consensus to blur the differences between masculinity and femininity. It comes from the left. Anyway, so we're shown that Ozymandias is back, and he realises that his plan has gone to pot, and he's looking for Dr. Manhattan to help sort the situation out. And he's got cancer as well, by the way. Oh, did I mention I'm doing spoilers in this review? I'm doing spoilers in this review. And we got the appearance of Superman at the end of the book. So it's intriguing you with more questions than answers at the end. And it kind of ends on a more beer. It kind of ends on a bit of a spot with Superman saying, I don't normally have nightmares, or something big's happening. Not terribly exciting ending, is it? But it gets you intrigued enough to probably buy issue number 2. This is issue number 1 of 12. And at the end of the book, you got a bit more details about the great lie being exposed, and some details about the old Rorschach there. It's the Kovacs, his name, wasn't it? Yeah, Walter Kovacs. Bits and pieces there. That's it. That's what you're getting here. Oh, is Batman going to pop up? That'll be interesting, won't it? So that's what you get with Doomsday Clock number 1. A book that begins with references to stuff that's happened in 2017, which, well, like I said just a minute ago, might piss you off a bit if you're, a right-leaning person like myself. But after that, it just goes back to the original plot from the 1980s, and it's just picking off from where it was left off, with the alien invasion thing being exposed, and just getting back to the original story again. So it's not going to be a comic book which vibrates through time with its resonance impact, because it's speaking truth about the world as it is today, and I don't know, becoming an artifact of its time, in that it's got a super bright searchlight of truth, pointing it into the eyes of contemporary society. No, it's not going to do that. But for people like myself, who are old, who are bearded, weirdy beardies, who remember the original Watchmen book, and perhaps everybody watched the movie as well, if you want to know what happens next, after the New World Order in the original Watchmen plot, this is what happens next. The New World Order fails because the newspaper reported the truth. If I was Geoff Johns, I wouldn't have the newspaper reporting the truth, because you don't get any truth in newspapers nowadays. This would have been all over the internet, but maybe they didn't have the internet in the 1990s. They didn't, did they? In 1992, so perhaps they couldn't have done that. Perhaps it could have been revealed in some other way. But I don't think newspapers were any more truthful back in the 80s and 90s. It's just that today they can't get away with it because of the internet thing. But yeah, truth in a newspaper. I don't know. Just seems a bit anachronistic to me. Out of 10, then, how much would I give this book out of 10? The artwork's very good. It's a shame that the old Rorschach is dead. So you've got a new Rorschach who seems a bit of a blank piece of paper to me. And make of him what you will with the mask changing. Maybe his character will be revealed as the book progresses. But I didn't get much out of him in this book. So this Rorschach didn't see much in this Rorschach. But this Rorschach will follow this Rorschach on his journey. And hopefully he'll reveal more interesting patterns to his character as the book progresses. Will this get kids reading comic books again? No, it won't get kids reading comic books again. But it should please the old Watchmen fans. It's a good comic book then, apart from the first 3 pages of allusions to the world as it is today, which don't really work in the context of a book that's set in the early 1990s. But apart from that, it's a let me think, a 7.5 out of 10, because the ending wasn't particularly cliffhangery. It doesn't make me feel, I can't wait, until issue number 2's out. When issue number 2's out, I'll get it, just because I'm an old beardy twit who remembers the old Watchmen. So it's not a tremendous ending, but it's nice to have some Watchmen back in my life again, and it's certainly better than the before Watchmen prequels. So 7.5 out of 10, not bad. I like the cover. Could be a lot worse, I guess. So a bit lukewarm. Hey, Superman. But I'm sure the book will pick up. I'm sure it will get more interesting as it's going on. This is just the beginning, of course, isn't it? And so yeah, I think I'm anticipating the book to get better as the story progresses. There we go, a review of Doomsday Clock #1 by Rorschach. Thanks for checking me out. Please like and subscribe if you'd be so kind. And I'll be back tomorrow, probably doing some more comic book reviews. I've got some good books this week. I'm looking forward to reading them. No Marvel books, obviously. So cheers. Thanks for watching. I'll be back later. Take care. Goodbye.